the 17th of February, and we can all say, thank God, is yet another Friday here on Frontier Opening Bell. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Let's just run you through very quickly the markets. 0.03% for the Nigerian market. Upside yesterday, just few gentle notches up since the start of the week. We've seen one or two sessions of a bit of a big gain. The BRVM continued on that trajectory, hit a new highest level since the start of the year with a composite 205.80. That's roughly 0.6%. Thursday, the Egyptian market down by 0.20%, 0.20%. That's the final trading day in Cairo for the week. Thursday is the start of the weekend. Friday, the markets are closed until Sunday. The Nairobi stock market was up roughly 0.1%, while the GSE went up roughly 1%, 80,000. The GSE Osha Index back in the 80,000 reading on Thursday. And that's how it all went on second to the final day of the week. Let's now take you through the headline stories from East Africa. The AFDB today in Addis Ababa, the African Union Summit, in partnership with the African Union Commission, presented the new Africa's macroeconomic performance and outlook report, which was well digested by the AFDB's chief economist, Professor Urama. Then you've got ministers from Nigeria, from Zambia, Egypt, and others, including Professor Jeffrey Sachs of the Columbia University, speaking to issues around debt, around ratings for African countries, projects, as well as food, sustainability, energy, industrial production, and manufacturing on the African continent. All of that were robustly discussed in a 2-hour presentation held earlier today. In the meantime, Tanzania has floated East Africa's largest freshwater cargo ship, while Mauritania's company, IBL, is buying a Kenyan drugs distributor, Harleys. Kenya's I&M Bank has waived bank-to-mobile fees permanently just to onboard a whole lot more customers and consumers in East Africa's largest economy. And the East African community has bagged $1.4 million for road construction along Uganda and Kenya's border. That's part of infrastructure financing that we're seeing east of the continent. Let's roll it down and roll up the West Africa top stories as we go into this very crunching weekend, in particular for Nigeria's the region's biggest economy and the most populous, with the president yesterday saying the 200 old Naira notes goes back into circulation for 60 days until the 10th of April. 500 and 1,000 notes remain out of the system and could only be redeemed at face value at the central bank. The central bank governor himself, Godwin Emefiele, spoke yesterday at the presidential villa after visiting the president and says he's had meetings with at least 15 CEOs of commercial banks, and they've agreed to bring back the 200 Naira notes, ease the crunching liquidity physical cash in Nigeria, as well as print a whole lot more of the new 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes into circulation. We're just a week away from Nigeria's hotly contested general elections, in particular the 3 or 4 front runners for the office of Mr. President. And Moody's new report released on Thursday says the FX liquidity shortage in Nigeria is putting the banks under pressure. But the analyst says there's nothing really much to worry about, at least since 2016, and that the country's robust risk management has been robust over the past 6 years. And that's according to Joshua Debisi, who's the head of banking research at Vetiva Capital Management. And Meristem Securities, writing an investment note on Adova's buyout program, says the buyout deal is a hold for existing investors, but cautious, usually a cautionary note for those who are new investors who wants to get into Adova shares, just as the company looks at a buyout program and may eventually delist as an energy trading company from the Nigerian exchange. Those are some of the big stories. And of course, you got Ghana reporting, getting a fresh, not so good news from the rating agencies as far as its rating is concerned. All of that in the news. And of course, you got Orange opening up a new strategy for 2030 for the African continent, and says it will focus more on cybersecurity and ensure that the communication services are up to speed. So if you look at the Southern Africa space, rafts of economic data and corporate news, South Africa's business confidence index fell in the month of January from 117 points in December. SPAR reporting its earnings as well as a few other big names within the GSE. Of course, Zambia is also talking about debt and how quickly the country can restructure its debts under the G20 common framework and ensure that Chileme's administration is up and running. And finally, in North Africa, we've got quite a couple of news out of Egypt, out of Morocco, as well as Tunisia. The big story for Libya is about its oil production that the company expects rise much further and faster than earlier. I shared you quite a bit to talk about in the week and the weeks ahead. Let's leave it there for today on your Frontier Opening Bell. I am Bosin Amofaye. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you next time, everyone. Bye for now.